Okay.
All right, calling to order the May 10th Sustainability Committee. And then I just have a motion for approval of last meeting's minutes
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
All right. And then is it time to move into the agenda, Jenny?
Well, you just asked for all those in favor.
Oh.
Yeah.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, is that?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. All those in favor of approving the minutes.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
So now you can launch into
Now I can launch into, okay.
sustainable CT.
Okay.
Uh.
So according to the agenda, it's the Sustainable CT review gap analysis, discuss next steps, including a discussion of the Power Smart participation. And I am going to have to apologize. I missed the last two meetings. So I don't know if anything else was discussed about sustainable CT related things while I was gone.
I don't think so. No, no, the last two meetings were, I know, general. Yeah. Would you like me to, if I can, with two screens, share the spreadsheet of the rolling credits, the gap analysis, or did all of you look at that and you have that up on your screens? What would you like me to do? You want me to share it?
I can get it up on my screen, but it'll be easier probably if you could, just so I can focus on the screen and everyone's faces.
Okay, I will do that. Let's see. Okay. All right. Do you see that? Does everybody
Yes.
see that? Okay. And is it big enough to see?
It is okay for me.
Okay. All right. So an intern from the Sustainable CT put this together, and there are 2 pages. So sheet 1 here is what we got points for last year to get silver certified, which at the time was the highest certification level. And then sheet 2 is what we need to do, the town needs to do to earn points. Well, actually, it's just looking at what we can apply from the 2022 application to the 2025 application. So I will start with this first one. The action numbers are here in column A, and then the explanation of kind of a general explanation of what the credits were. We got 500 points in 2022. We needed 400 to get silver certification. We had to do 3 equity actions and equity training, and one action in each, at least one action in each category. So there's up to 12 categories. Category 13 is like a catch-all. So we did that. As you can see, that's reflected here and the points that we got. So the possible rolling points are described in sheet 2, but you can see here that we could get 390 points in 2025 just by carrying over what we did. We might have to update things a little bit, but that's a carryover. Our equity actions are not carried over. There, you have to do anew every time that you're applying. So does anybody have questions about this sheet and what it means?
Not so much about the sheet, but can you remind me how many points we would need to get gold for next time? Have they decided that?
Yes, 750 points, which is would be quite a ask for the town. That's why in 2023, it's like we need to start now working on this. Okay. Any other questions about sheet 1? All right. So sheet 2 then is, okay, looking at where we got points in 2022, how many points, and these are the action numbers, how many points could we get from those actions? And you can see them listed here. Some of the actions have been updated. So this column D indicates what might be a little bit different that we have to do, just update something or add a little something. So these are the ones that need updating. And this CLD is climate leader designation. So we must take actions that would get us to climate leader designation. And I forget how many of our points need to go towards that. But this is showing you which of the actions we've done in the past could go toward climate leader designation. So, so that is you don't know what these numbers mean, but in sheet 1, it kind of explains like what each of the things are. So tonight, after this meeting at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be attending the Human Rights Commission meeting because I want to talk to them about equity. And in order to get gold certification, we need to do not 3, but 4 equity actions, to talk to them about doing an equity statement that's required for gold certification. And what's also required is training by key people within the town in equity. So I want to talk to them about how they might take a lead on this or advocate or help to be support in that process. Yes, Matt, you have a question?
Yeah, now I gotta figure out how to lower the hand. There we go. I wanted to ask about, at the school at E.O. Smith, we're doing an awful lot of equity stuff, equity training for the school. I can't really just in a minute or two explain that all that we're doing, but it's significant. Let's just put it that way. To say the very least, it's significant, and there's an awful lot of work being done. Could any of that work at the high school count for equity points on this thing, or doesn't it work that way?
It could, like if there's some action that's being taken that is really engaging the school community, there's and the action is shaped by the input from the group, then yes, it's possible that it could apply to an equity action. Equity training, it's really, maybe there are 1 or 2 people at the school, but it's very specific about the training, like who.
It was for all staff. We've been through lots of it, but all right, I can poke around into that more if need be, and I could get like a summary of everything the school's done. Although if this is going for 2025, at what point would a report need to be put together, or when this application, like what's our date? And I mean, how early can you have it done or a report given to get the points to have them count for 2025?
Let me just look at, I think the look back period is 3 years, but let me just see. It says any action completed within the past 3 years from January 1 of the year seeking certification.
Oh, so that should count then.
Yeah. And
And
then,
then, okay, sorry.
and then there's a whole narrative. So what the equity toolkit is it's helping to frame how actions are approached. So here comes Susanna. So, hi, Susanna. So we're talking about the sustainable CT rolling credits. And right now, Matt, just to get you up to speed, Susanna was asking about equity actions and like how far back in time can they go. So if we apply for certification in 2025, which is the intent, we would need to gather all the narratives for the equity actions by like the summer. I think August is the deadline, but the narrative could be written up at any point. Might just need to be updated a little bit because maybe there's more information by the time we apply in 2025, Matt.
I'm so sorry that I am late. I apologize. I will just say that many of you were maybe there last night, but it was exciting. The mayor mentioned how we were applying for gold status in the town meeting last night.
Oh, okay.
That was very exciting that she talked about that.
Good. That's great. Yeah. So I do think that the equity actions are the biggest piece. But one of the other things that might be big actions for the town are, I don't know if these are big hurdles, but some of this is new. Definitely support to end homelessness is a new action as of last year. And there probably is in the planning department work that's being done on affordable housing. So, so that's what I have to report on this rolling credits. I mean, we're out of 750. We're 390 points towards that. And so we would just have to have 360 more points.
And about 35 of those are the equity ones too.
Right. Yeah.
On the equity front, and I can also look into this more in case you don't know the answer, Jenny, but it seems like something the committee could do if we identify certain of these action items, maybe we come up with a portfolio of action items that we're interested in pursuing. Maybe they add up to more than the delta there. And we could have some sort of either meeting in town, or maybe this committee members each kind of divvy things up and we can go to different meetings, but do some outreach on like, here's what we're thinking. We'd like to get your feedback on whether, which of these action items are most important to folks in the town, and have some sort of reporting mechanism on that. So some sort of stakeholder process like that, though, seems to kind of go to some of the equity inclusion type concerns, as long as we did the appropriate type of outreach. So just wanted to throw that out there as something that maybe we could think about.
That'd be great.
I know that one of the things this committee has hosted, and I think it was last year you hosted it, right? Was a meeting with other committees and staff members about the Sustainable Sea certification. That was pretty well attended. You know, it was virtual. I think if this committee did the same thing again and it were in person, I think it could be well attended as well. We did that in 2019. We hosted 2 meetings, and so it was just to bring people on board in their committees, like, think about what you're doing and whether any of this relates to the actions within Sustainable CT. If so, here's the criteria under that action, like what the kinds of things you need to complete. In 2019, when we hosted it, we had dinner. So it was really well attended. But I mean, that is conceivably something that the committee could do. You know, is host another staff, other committee, commissions, boards meeting to go over this kind of information, maybe a little more general, but like really zooming in on what that committee works on and how it could be doing something in line that would line up with Sustainable CT. Is that what you were suggesting, Josh?
I think I'm suggesting something different, but I like that idea as well too. I guess what I'm kind of envisioning would be just on the professional side of my life at Deep, you know, equity is obviously a very big concern. And so I've been getting, you know, having trainings, and we're trying to do as much better job on that front. And so I don't know if I have specific, let me think about that maybe. And maybe I can put that on my to-do list as something that I can come back to our next meeting with some more specifics in mind on how that could work. You know, I think I'm thinking more along the lines of like, for the committee members who may have the time, and if I'm proposing this, I will volunteer to be one of those people. But like, for instance, maybe 1 committee or 2 committee members could go to like the senior center or something and just have a conversation with them about what we're trying to do here and what their interests would be and what they think is important. And then, you know, try to find some of those discrete community locations where we might be able to do outreach with folks who might not otherwise come to a meeting, you know, in town. Trying to think of some other options though. You know, I can try to spend some time thinking of where some other places in town that we might be able to do something along those lines, even if it's not the entirety of the committee together. And just, I think I remember at one point it was maybe Peter and Matt or someone, they had gone and done something at the school or something like that too. And so just things like that, I think could be, if you put them all together, could be part of kind of a coherent outreach plan.
Let's see, the equity toolkit. So, oh, I already have this up. Let's see. Let me share this with you. There we go. All right, I guess that's not, let me see. Can you see this? The equity toolkit?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is kind of the gist of it. So you want to know who's in your community, and the thing to do is to look at the there's worksheets that the state puts out that can give you that information. And then you want to connect with them, like what you're suggesting, Josh, have a dialogue. And from that, where are their needs and how could those needs be met? so what's the result of your collaboration? And then, I don't know if, can you see number 5? How will you refine, revisit, improve? So that's the gist of it, of the equity actions.
And so do we do this little thing for each one of the, so there'd be 4 versions of this?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, 4 completely different actions.
okay,
So they'd be an action under the action category plus you'd get points also under the equity number 1, equity action. So the equity under the equity action, you're telling a story is what you're doing. You're just so what tends to happen in government is we the officials tend to think we know what's best for the community, and then we go out and do it. We may talk to, usually not, but we may talk to the public about it. But it's not necessarily driven by a previous dialogue. You understand what I mean? So this is like, it's a paradigm shift. And I think it's really hard for those of us in town government, maybe even state government, to really get a handle on this. Because the probably the most important pieces are the initial ones, the crucial ones, number 1 and number 2, and we tend to like not do that.
it does seem though that once you've done number 1 once, you should always revisit and make sure that things haven't changed, but it shouldn't too drastically change, I wouldn't think. But I
No.
agree with you that number 2 is that's the doozy.
Yeah.
Jenny, can I ask a quick question? And again, I apologize. I was late. I just lost track of time. Maybe we've already talked about this. Would it be helpful for us as a committee, and plus we would get 5 points, to do like a training, the equity training that's, I'm guessing that Sustainable CT offers, like before we go out into the community and talk about equity? I wonder if all of us could get a little bit. I mean, Josh, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of work on this. I do some work on this in the education side, but I don't know kind of what the lingo is, and it'd be nice for us to get on the same page too. And just kind of have some common language. Could we avail ourselves of an equity workshop or training through Sustainable CT? That might be a good first step.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
And we get 5 points.
Well, I was saying earlier that to participate, to get points in participating in an equity training, you need to have at least 3 people, including, well, okay, yep. That's all right then. 1 elected official, Board of Selectmen, Town Council, other governing body.
I'm an elected official.
The Board of Ed and Board of Finance are not included.
Rats. Well, we can invite somebody to come and join us.
1 higher level municipal staff person, so like a director, and 1 resident serving on your sustainability team. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll look to see when there are equity trainings coming up and keep you guys posted on that. All right. And okay. As far as, so do you want that to be your first step, and then visit, like, revisit whether you want to have a joint meeting, or do you want to work on both of those things? Like move ahead with seeing if we can get other committee members and key staff people together to really talk about the hope for 2025 gold certification.
I think it's a good first step, but I don't know what other folks think.
Yeah, I like it. I don't think you can have too many trainings on this type of thing.
So training first?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
I'd be in favor of that.
Okay.
And Ginny, let me know if I can help with like maybe inviting other folks that would check those boxes, like, you know, if there are some folks that could join us, that would be logical people to invite.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Ginny, do you know what the time commitment for this kind of training might be? Would it be 3 evenings or 1 3-hour session? Do you have any sense of what's involved?
I participated in equity training in 2020. It was like 3 days. It was, I think, 3 hours over and 3 days that were like 3 hours, I believe. So it was, you know, it was substantial if somebody's working. That's quite a commitment. But I can find out.
Yeah,
My
because
guess too is that, oh, I'm sorry, Peter, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, I'm curious, but I don't know exactly how much time I would have to do this. Go ahead, Susanna.
Oh, I was just gonna say, my guess is, I know that they have been doing a lot of infrastructure building at Sustainable CT around this. Yeah, I'm just peeking in. I wonder if we have, if it's, yeah, if you have to participate in all 3. It looks like I'm looking at a training that they have through Sustainable CT, and it's 3 different days across 2 hours. It's virtual. But yeah, that is a big time commitment. It's definitely not a one-shot thing, which it shouldn't be, but you know, yeah.
So you know, it may be harder for volunteers. Might be a little bit easier for a staff person, although you know, for a town manager, that's also a big commitment, you know. So
It sounds perfect, though. It says content will be geared to help sustainability teams integrate equities considerations into their sustainable CT initiatives. Sustainability team members should attend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'll look into that.
Yeah, it looks like they run from 10 a.m. to noon, which honestly, from my perspective, with 2 little ones, that's actually easier than it would be at night. So I would definitely still be interested in looking into that.
Are you working remotely, Josh?
I work only 1 day a week in the office, and I have a lot of flexibility around moving that if need be and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I have quite a bit of flexibility.
Okay.
It depends on when it is, but my schedule can be weirdly flexible too. So yeah, I mean, I definitely can make some 10 to 12 kind of meetings too.
And is summer a better time than say the fall or spring?
I don't know. I don't know if I have a preference between them really.
The action also can go back 3 years. So the training, yeah. So Josh, I'd be curious as to whether the training you've had qualifies, you know, through DEP, whether that qualifies for this. So anyhow, things to check out and look into. All right. And any other questions about equity? If not, did you guys want to talk about PowerSmart? Because that was a beginning discussion at the last Sustainability Committee meeting, which I think Peter and Bill and Susanna, you were all at that meeting, right?
Yes.
When Bob, yeah, okay.
Jeannie, my recollection is that you were going to talk to the town manager and to John, and also wanted to get some information from Bob Wall to see whether you wanted to avoid some of the problems that occurred from Posigen, where if somebody had a problem, if a customer had a problem, you wanted to know better how to deal with that, who was going to address those problems.
Right.
How far did you get on all of that?
Well, I did talk to John Carrington, who's my boss, and the town manager about the Sustainability Committee's interest in potentially, being a town that participates in PowerSmart. And what the town manager suggested was really bringing that to the town council. So that actually might interface nicely with kind of a report to the town council, just checking in with the town council and letting them know some of the things the Sustainability Committee has been working on over the past couple of years, because I think it's been a couple of years since Lynn has gone before the town council, and then just presenting to them this program and asking for their blessing to participate in it. So that was his suggestion. It makes a lot of sense, because then they're not blindsided by a resident calling them saying, what's this about the PowerSmart program? Can you explain it to me? Or so that was the town manager's suggestion on it. I did contact Bob Wall, and we talked about making it clear, how do you make the process clear to residents that are participating in this, so that they know like what the next steps are and what kind of time frame they can expect for the next steps to happen within. He did say that they would be working on something like that to make it clear to residents. I also asked him how, who are the contact people if there are issues. Unlike Solarize or Solar for All, where one vendor was selected, with the PowerSmart program, you select, the resident who signed up for this, select the vendor. So one of the things that Bob was saying is that they would, and there are 40 eligible contractors, so that they would put together information about those contractors, on their experience, how long they've been in business, where they've done business, that sort of thing, to help people choose a vendor that might work best for them. And then the last thing was, if somebody does call with a complaint, like who's responsible for handling that? And he did respond to me just this week with, let's see, it would be Eversource, somebody from Eversource and somebody from the Green Bank that would be addressing issues. So the thing And then I asked, what makes a contractor eligible? And he said that the green bank requires proof of license, insurance, experience, no negative track record with the green bank or utilities. So kind of a general, you know, I guess that's kind of standard. I don't know. I would think that'd be kind of standard though, way of, checking in to see how legitimate a contractor is or how good they are. The MOU, the sample MOU that they sent, that would be signed between the town and Smart Power, does not speak to any of this, doesn't specify if there are issues, then will be so-and-so will be handling that. It's more generic, so it really doesn't speak to any of those concerns.
You were uncomfortable proceeding without exploring more of this with both town administration and also hearing more from Bob Wall. How much better do you feel now than you did a month ago?
Well, I still feel a little uncomfortable, but I don't think I should be the one holding, it's not up to me. These kind of programs are great when somebody is dealing with a contractor, when it comes down to on the ground reality. If the contractor is not wonderful and terrific, and then you can encounter issues. So I think by bringing it to the town council and the town council saying, yes, we want to be a participating town, that is sending a message to all town staff that this is something the town's behind and we're doing it, and then it's kind of equalizing then. It's not just coming from the sustainability committee or from me, if it's perceived that's coming from me, but rather it's the governing body of the town that really wants to participate. I think it would be helpful to have Bob Wall speak to the housing, the building department, maybe the town manager, maybe the public works director. I don't know how important that would be, the public works director, but to speak to some towns people, just to address questions that might be helpful. But it seems like the next step for this committee would be to decide whether you want to proceed with this and bring it to town council, or if you think there are some other steps that need to happen first.
Can I just throw in that, at least as I conceive of this, and I don't know how this program is going to work in any real detail, but concerning how things can go wrong and who might get a complaint about what, I think there are at least two different kinds of complaints, maybe three. One is how the work was done. That is, the contractor who you hired to install the battery or the solar may not do their job right, or in one way or another, doesn't work. just as one example. So that's clearly a contractor problem. Now it doesn't, and maybe it would be interesting to see whether the Green Bank or Eversource will lean on the contractor. But it strikes me that you're in the same situation as when you hire a contractor to do anything at your house. The second kind, though, is that the contractor did their job right, installing the hardware and getting things set up. But it is then there's some kind of complication with Eversource in getting enrolled in the incentive program and getting and making sure that you get paid. I think that there's an installation incentive and then there's a ongoing performance incentive. So that's where, you know, it's clearly Eversource. I don't know exactly what the Green Bank's role would be. I guess having to do with some with the financing, but I don't know whether it's just that. But it would be interesting to, you know, if we decide to go forward with this, you know, in some of the subsequent conversations, just be clearer about asking representatives from each. Will we have an opportunity to ask representatives at any of these subsequent meetings and events? What's your role going to be? And what if things go wrong in your role?
I guess that's what I was trying to get at too. Because for the Solar for All program, for instance, it really became very murky what our roles were, because things weren't going so well, you know, not to the complete fault of the installer by any means, but there were some things that were wonky with it, and it just wasn't clear, you know, how to resolve it. So I think there's another thing that could go wrong, and that is really the customer being clear on what to expect. Like that was completely misunderstood for Solar for All, and in part it was supply chain delays. So I mean, we don't anticipate that will be an issue, but there was not really good follow through with you know, it's customer service. So I think that's another area where it could go wrong.
You know, I guess for me, yeah, things can go wrong. And but I don't think that that's a sufficient reason to not go forward with this. By all means, asking questions as we go along, as we talk more with Bob Wall. Maybe Bob should be on the Zoom presentation to the town council. But you know, there's a potential here to move the needle forward for battery adoption, and that would be a loss if we don't do this.
So do you think having meeting with Bob Wall, maybe a representative from Eversource, some folks from maybe you, Peter, or others from the Sustainability Committee and Building Department, Town Manager, think that would be the next logical step to just really dive into, you know, whose role is what, you know, how the program works, whose role is what, you know, how is the town being involved? What do you think?
But that sounds like a good idea. The one thing about Posigen, and you know 10 times more about the Posigen program than I did. But Posigen was sort of the organizing company. But they were hiring local contractors to do the work. So one of the ways that that the lines of responsibility were unclear is if an earth mover tore up your lawn, as happened in one case, do you call the contractor or do you call Posigen? God knows anything could go wrong in this program or any other, but I think that the lines will be a little bit clearer in that if the contractor tears up your lawn, in this, it's the contractor. There is no Posigen.
Well, Posigen was the contractor that was hired, so they subcontracted to do things. They just didn't have the staff capacity to do some of the work that was being done. So that was one of the issues, was this. It wasn't so much them on the ground, it was the subcontractors they hired.
Right. But I don't think that there'll be that kind of ambiguity here. In other words, you hire
There may
your
not, yeah.
you hire your contractor, and I don't know, what goes through my mind is that if we're asking people to make decisions about what contractor to hire, I think that the Green Bank's minimal, or maybe it's Eversource's minimal qualifications are a good place to start. But I would encourage people to go to Mansfield Connections and to ask their neighbors, and to, maybe there should be people who have had batteries installed. I mean, I know one. In other words, there should be that community sharing of information so that you have the best shot at choosing a reliable contractor.
Yeah, and Smart Power, because they're marketing. Smart Power is a marketer, so they would be probably encouraging us to help with marketing the whole idea and getting the word out and helping people to make decisions. So you probably what would be good is if you want to move forward on this, somebody makes a motion about next steps.
So you're suggesting that there are two kinds of next steps. One is to present this to the council. The other is to convene a meeting of the parties, some town staff, Bob Wall, somebody from the Green Bank, somebody from Eversource, and anybody from the Sustainability Committee who wants to be there, and I certainly would be willing to. And certainly you, Ginny, if you're available, because I think that you have the most experience with how things go wrong. And I really would be relying on your questions.
Ginny, is it my understanding, sorry to interrupt, that a meeting would be a good first step then before going to the town council? Like that would be a better, an initial meeting and then move it into town council before. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I
Right.
think the building department needs to be involved in this. The strongest complaints have come from their department with the other programs that we've done. With Solar for All, we did have them come to us, meet with us, with the building department, but so I think that would be important to do that. Yes, that's what I'm thinking might be a good next step. And I'm also saying that, it'd be good for the Sustainability Committee to report to the town council of the things that you've been doing, but also have a request for them to approve the Power Smart program.
Well, then I would put forward a motion that, I don't know whether I should, that we convene a meeting of the building department. I don't, the building department, who else?
Town manager,
Town manager or his representative,
yep,
and you, I think, and the Green Bank, a representative from the Green Bank, and from Eversource, and from Power Smart, or I mean Smart Power, I guess it is, and a representative, at least one representative from the Sustainability Committee. And then following that, depending on the outcome of that meeting, make it a part, if all are agreeable, if we are agreeable, if the town representatives are agreeable, as part of a proposal to or report to the town council.
Okay.
I'm glad you are going to write that down and not me.
yeah. So somebody would need to second that.
If someone else can second, this one runs a little bit close for me on the conflict of interest side, so I probably should.
I'm happy to second.
So Josh, you would ask if there's any more discussion, and if not, then you would ask the committee to vote.
Okay, sorry. Is there any more discussion? And if not, we could take a vote on that motion. All right. I'm able to abstain. Kick things off.
So you're asking who's in favor?
Yes, sorry. Who's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, I don't know, Matt, are you in favor? Matt may have stepped away.
Yeah. His children, so.
Oh,
He-
he raised his hand. Thanks, Matt.
All right, I will work on that and get a meeting together and do that as soon as possible, I think, because it from what Bob was saying, they're wrapping this up next spring or early spring, maybe late winter, so need to move on it a little bit quickly. So I will do that.
Thank you, Ginny, and thank you for voicing your concerns, which I think are really worth considering, and now we'll grapple with it all.
I mean, I think it's a great program. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good. I think it's a good thing for the town to participate in. So Josh, that was it for agenda items, unless there was something else in terms of sustainable CT anybody wanted to bring up?
Nothing from me.
Well, then you could move to adjourn the meeting.
Alrighty, I will move to adjourn the meeting.
Aye.
I will second.
Good.
Josh.
Very good.
Good job.
Aye.
I nominate